Jaron Boots Ennis versus Karen Chukhadzhyan 2, the rematch. 12 rounds, 147-pound division. This is a rematch taking place this Saturday in Philadelphia. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Ennis, 32 wins, no losses, 29 wins by way of knockout. Chukhadzhyan, 24 wins, 2 losses, and 13 wins by way of knockout. Boots got a lot of slack after the first fight against Chukhadzhyan, man. You know, he was talking a lot and saying he wanted to fight Bud Crawford. When you are coming up in any division, you know, I don't have a problem with you talking about you want to fight the big dogs, you want to fight the champions. You have to build yourself up. I got no problems with that, but it does come with certain criticism in your performance if you do not operate at a level that says you're ready for that type of fight and the caliber of boxing that you're going to get into the ring with. So he got a lot of slack because he didn't stop Chukhadzhyan. In my prediction and breakdown of that video, I thought Boots was going to stop Chukhadzhyan probably later in the rounds. That was my prediction for the fight. But although Boots didn't get the stoppage, you know, it was still a clear one-sided fight. You know, Boots dominated the fight from start to finish. He landed clean shots against Chukhadzhyan and caught him with some nice combinations when he was able to slow him down. The main criticism circulating that fight was the fact that Boots didn't do the greatest job of cutting off of the ring. He wasn't able to cut off of the ring to really put his skills and his tools on full display. You know, there were rounds where he got caught just chasing Chukhadzhyan around the ring. And when you're chasing someone around the ring, you're not doing the greatest job of fighting with a high level of IQ. You are just trying to do anything to slow this person up, but nothing is really intentional. But when he did slow him up and have him cornered, have him up on the ropes, Boots was getting off on him. But it's a double-edged sword for a fighter who has a high ratio of knockouts, right? You're expected to knock him out because you have a high ratio of knockout. But when the fight goes the distance, it comes with a lot of criticism. And, you know, it's just part of the sport. Like, it is what it is. For me, you know, there were a few parts for me in this fight, apart from the obvious. Boots not cutting off of the ring as well as we thought that he could have, right? I thought it was a mix of him not using the jab consistently throughout the fight. He would do it here and there, and when he did it, he was having success, but then he would get away from it. And I think he was trying to make a statement because this was on a big card as well, too. This was on a Gervonta Tank Davis card, and you know Tank pulls out the people, right? So he was trying to put on a spectacular performance in a dominating fashion in front of the big crowd that everything just seemed like it was big power punches and he was headhunting and trying to land that one-shot knockout to close out the show rather than doing what we have seen him done before, and that's break down his opponents round to round, breaking down his opponents like how he did to Sergey Lipinets, breaking down his opponents to what he did against Royman Villa. Remember what he did to Villa and how many shots he took, right? And of course, most recently, what he did to David Avanesian. He didn't go to the body a whole lot in the first fight. Now, we know the best way to slow down a mover, apart from cutting off of the ring, is going to the body. So it makes it harder to move because you're taking out some of that wind that they have in their core. So that was one part of it for me. Now, the other part of it was the fact that, man, Chukhadzhyan, you know, he's a better boxer than advertised. Now, parts of that fight to me was also Chukhadzhyan getting to a certain point where, you know, he was just trying to survive. Not saying he was running, so to speak, because he was moving extremely well, conditioning really well, boxing really well, but he wasn't taking a whole bunch of risks. He was catching Boots coming in when Boots was chasing, catch him with a 1-2, catch him with a counter, catch him with a right hook, catch him with a left hook, but he didn't have enough power to really gain the respect of Boots. So he would be so much more impactful and more of a dangerous fighter if Chukhadzhyan had a little bit more power in his shots. I think he would be so much better. But I do think he is a really good boxer, a solid opponent, and can frustrate you if you are emotionally attached in this fight, rather than fighting here and letting this and this be in alignment and not just gunning forward, trying to get the stoppage. and you found yourself chasing around a boxer that you should probably be able to take out. So while I don't think Chukhadzhyan can necessarily hurt Boots, I don't think he did it in the first fight. I think he can frustrate him. And if you can frustrate him and get him to fight your fight, there's a good chance that you're going to have some success and you can have your way in some spurts. So I felt like Chukhadzhyan came with a little bit of a survival mentality more than I'm here to win mentality, but he was still boxing very well, but he didn't take any risks. So, I think this is going to be an interesting rematch. I'm looking forward to seeing the adjustments from both men to see if Boots is going to do a better job of cutting off the ring and going to the body, or to see if Chukhadzhyan can move around and take a little bit more calculated risk and find a way to win some of those rounds. So it's going to be very interesting, man. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. As I said, I like Chukhadzhyan. I think he's a solid boxer. I think he overperformed in the last fight. But this time around, I think Boots slows him down by going to the body, and he corrects his wrong and starts fighting more of his fight before imposing his will and breaking down Chukhadzhyan. I like Boots by late stoppage. I think we see a more tactical version of Boots, a guy that's going to cut off the ring a little better, go to the body, impose his physicality and his size. Like, Boots is a big 147-pounder, man. I wouldn't be surprised if, we see him in 168, 175 in a couple years. Like, I think he's got that type of body, and especially if he fills it out. But, Chukhadzhyan has a pretty good chin on him as well, too, man. In all of his fights, he's been dropped once before. So he's got a pretty good chin, and he's got excellent conditioning and excellent feet. So I wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes the distance, but I think Boots is going to correct his wrongs here, and I think he's going to find a way to get the stoppage, and I think he's going to fight a more tactical and calculated fight. If Chukhadzhyan wants to win this fight, he's got to do a little bit more. Right? Like, he's got to take some risk. He's got to go in trying to win this fight and not just be in survival mode of this fight. But in order to win this fight, you're going to have to take a risk, and risk can often come with cost. So he's got to try to figure that out, man. See if he can do enough to win the rounds. Right? But it's going to be very tough, very difficult because of all of the tools and the skill set that Boots does possess. I don't think it's going to be Chukhadzhyan night. I think Boots is going to get it done, and I think it's going to get it done by late stoppage. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comment section below. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.